The alleged budget padding in the House of Representatives is still in the news. This time, the Gombe State Caucus of the House has declared its support for the Speaker Yakubu Dogara and the leadership of the House. In a press conference, the group accused the former chairman of the House Committee on Appropriation of blackmailing the leadership of the House. The lawmakers also insist that there is no need for external investigators, as the matter is purely an internal affair.
On this note, we call on Honorable Abdul Mumin Jibrin and every other persons or group waging war against the peace and stability of the House of Representatives to shed their sword in the national interest and leave the House to pursue its business of making laws for the good governance of Nigeria. Thank you. Signed, Honorable Ali Isa JC, Honorable Aisha Jibrin Duku, Honorable Ustaz Yunusa Ahmad Abubakar, Honorable Binta Bello, Honorable Ismaila Muazu, and Honorable Yaya Bauchi Tongo. These are all members of the House of Representatives from Gombe State, representing Gombe State in the National Assembly.
And now to take a further look at this, I'm now being joined in the news at 10 by Senior Program Officer of the Advocacy Center, Mr. Kolawole Banwo. I want to thank you so much indeed for coming on the news at 10. Should investigations into allegations of padding be conducted by an independent body, do you suppose, or should it be left for the internal mechanism to handle this?
Well, I think the fact that even within the House, they are divided about how it should be is an indication that we cannot allow the internal mechanism to work. The fact that some people think it should be external is an indication that they don't trust that the internal mechanism will be independent enough to come out with the truth. So if there's such division, then it's better to go for the independent investigation as a way of establishing neutrality and ensuring that whatever comes out is truly independent. Some people say we want external from within the House. I understand there are about 113 legislators who are picking signatures, and that's an indication that they cannot resolve it in-house, and that means we need to go out to get solutions, in my opinion.
You've been watching the scenario as it played out over the past week or so. Do you suppose that allegations are showing cracks within the leadership of the APC, especially within the National Assembly?
Well, obviously, it is clear that when a party is in majority in a system and the principal officers largely come from that party, and they are not able to hold things together in such a way that things are properly managed without escalating to a point where it becomes so embarrassing and scandalized for Nigerian citizens to watch on pages of newspapers, exchange of words, it's an indication that there's a crack within that mechanism that is supposed to hold things together. Parliaments always have issues. Caucuses have issues. There are also conflict. There are always conflict. But the ability of the leadership to manage it and ensure that it does not disrupt legislative proceedings and it does not become a national issue that distracts from the primary duty of the parliament is, in my opinion, an indication of leadership failure. And if that leadership comes from a single party that has the mandate of Nigeria to get that done, it means then in it ranks there's a crack and it's a disservice to democracy and what Nigerians expect from the parliament.
Interesting. Now, what measures should be adopted, for instance, by the lawmakers to ensure its interaction, call it if you will, with government agencies and departments are properly monitored?
Sorry, take that again.
Yes, I was just asking you, what measures do you suppose or do you think can be taken by lawmakers to ensure that the interaction between them and departments and ministries and agencies is properly monitored?
Well, the fact remains that the legislative arm and the executive arm needs to work together. And you have committees in parliament that have a duty to interact with certain parastatals, ministries and departments in the executive to have seamless integration in terms of policy formation that will require legislative reflection and to ensure that development is driven. Now, what that means, therefore, is that there needs to be a feedback and a relationship. There's need to exchange ideas, exchange information, but more importantly, to put national interest first. As long as party issues and individual issues take preeminence preeminence, that crack will always be there. You have the executive wanting to go one way, you have the Ministry of Finance, you have various ministries that have their budget and want things to be done. Then you have these house committees and you have individual members and all who have interest. If it is not harmonized in such a way that there is national interest and the citizens' interest, everybody focusing on that, you will always have that, no matter what is done, unless both the executive and the legislator insist that what is best is what is good for Nigerians, that all sort of other interests will not take preeminence. This crack will always be there until they decide that Nigeria comes first, Nigerians come first in policies, in lawmaking. They put the interest of Nigerians first and work towards that collectively. There will be division that will escalate in this manner.
What then will be your final words concerning this padding saga?
Well, what I will say is that there's a challenge with the padding because we have a very faulty budgetary process from the onset. We had thought that with the introduction of zero budgeting approach and going back to our medium-term expenditure framework that the fiscal responsibility provide, where we have a multi-year planning, where our budget is taking, you see, we need to plan development. And the reason why we have this is that we have a budgetary system that allows for secrecy, that allows for superimposition of personal interest and political interest, that does not even care. No proper needs assessment is done, no empirical data to know what Nigerians really need to go into the budget. Unless we get back to that, where we plan development and invest resources in a planned and organized manner, we're going to keep having this issue of people taking advantage of the budget process to try to siphon resources for personal purposes and to pursue political interest. So we need to go back to proper planning as a nation. That is my word on it.
Senior Program Officer at the Advocacy Center, Mr. Kolawole Banwo, I want to thank you so much indeed for talking to us on the News at 10. You're watching the News at 10 on Channels Television. We're reaching you live from Lagos. Time now to shift gears and take you to business news with Melinda Akinlami.
You first. First Bank.
Great to have you on Business News. Nigeria's electricity challenge is not a distribution problem, but consumption management. And this is coming from the Chief Executive of Omachex Computers, Mrs. Florence Seriki. On our program, Business Morning, she advised the federal government to begin compliance with the United Nations Law on Energy Management in order to deal with this issue.
This problem you are seeing is more of a consumption problem. It's not a distribution problem. We consume a lot of energy. And we came up with a solution then that the Professor Nebo, the minister, commissioned. And once we can attempt to drop the consumption drastically, rather than building power plants, you know, if we go back to the Energy Commission law, which the United Nations has said should, in the next 5 years, everybody should cut consumption by 50%, you will be dazed how significant energy can be conserved for others to use. If a whole ministry or a Shell, Mobil reduce consumption by 50 to 70%, can you imagine that energy being available for others to use? Okay. And we said to them, until that is achieved, then solar will become very, affordable.
From energy to company news, Fidelity Bank PLC has continued to partner with the Nigeria Export Promotion Council to fund export businesses. The Managing Director, Mr. Nnamdi Okonkwo, at the project launch in Lagos, believes Fidelity Bank has gone beyond just deposit and loans, but is now involved in the value chain and capacity building of businesses.
After a very long while.
Call them students and you may not be wrong. They're entrepreneurs who've been involved or trying to be a part of those operating in the export business. For 8 weeks, they've gone through trainings on how to successfully export their products to other countries by developing their capacities, get insights into the processes involved and logistics. It's now the inauguration of the Zero to Export project, organized by the Nigeria Export Promotion Council in collaboration with Fidelity Bank PLC, the funding partner.
structure, knowledge, and processes actually make all the difference. Right. We are not participating in SME business because it is cool to do so. We are participating because we see the economic advantage, and we took time to understand what can go wrong. That is the same thing we would do with this export program.
Over 30 million SMEs, providing 70 million jobs. That's the backbone of our economy. I'm so happy that we're here together with Fidelity Bank to do this Zero to Export program.
For the Zero to Export graduates, it's been a period of great learning that will help in the diversification efforts of the federal government.
We're told that export is a chain. It's a flow. The first thing you must do is that you must know your product. Because if you don't know your product, you're going to lose it.
For us, this is not a social responsibility project. It is an answer to a national call of great importance today. That's why we're very proud to be working with NAPC. And let me use this opportunity to say we're not stopping here. We're collaborating with Lagos Business School to run programs on export management.
With a single-digit interest rate for exporters, Fidelity Bank PLC says its branches nationwide are opened for more inquiries from would-be exporters and other small and medium-scale enterprises.
Stocks retreated from 2 consecutive sessions of uptrend as the all-share index closed lower on account of profit-taking across sectors. Bisi Adebayo has a summary of today's trading.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Reports. After 2 days of recovery this week, Nigeria's stock market turned negative at the close of Thursday's trading session as the all-share index fell by 56 basis points to 28,046.96, while market capitalization dropped to 9.63 trillion naira. But the decline is a fallout of price from industrial heavyweight equities, led in percentage terms by Skybank, Berger, and Kutix. MRS, Pharmadeco, and Law Union and Block were the top 3 gainers from a list of 8 stocks. Thursday's transaction yielded a total of 270.72 million shares, valued at 2.24 billion naira, and traded in 4,609 deals. FBN Holdings was the most active stock for a second time this week, with 86.1 million of its shares traded, while Guaranty Trust Bank and Skybank came right behind. That ends Stock Market Reports. I am Bisi Adebayo.
Many thanks, Bisi. Now let's take a look at global markets. It was mixed today as most indices in the developed economies closed lower. That's business news. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Melinda Akinwami. It's back to you, Gimba.
You first. First Bank.
The Lagos State government is proposing a monorail system for the island axis as part of its 7-rail system strategic master plan. At a meeting with some concerned residents on the proposed rail project, the contractors and the Lagos State Metropolitan Transport Authority explained the approach adopted for the project.
The preparatory survey for the construction of Lagos Urban Railway System began 2 years ago. The need for a seamless means of rail transport from Marina to Victoria Island and beyond informs the presentation of the survey at this meeting organized by the Lagos Metropolitan Agency and the project's handlers, Japan International Cooperation Agency.
We discovered that there's still that gridlock within Victoria Island. And that's the reason why we are introducing something like a circle line system, which will take care of that.
We confirm the necessity for the project and challenges, and field survey determining implementation plan, including route plan and demand forecast, estimate rough cost of the project.
A 15.4-kilometer automated guideway transit monorail has been proposed for the Lagos Island axis. This is because it is the least disruptive mode of transportation.
Number one is going to use the existing right-of-way. So there could be some. We are not saying there would not be. There will be very, very small. That is why the environmental impact assessment has spoken to. They have identified where we would have to either demolish fences and all of that. But compensation would be paid. Is part of the total cost of the project.
In order to complete the study and start the construction, there will be some challenges, including the environmental assessment or also the financial arrangement.
The rail project is estimated at $1 billion, while the state government looks forward to funding support from the Japanese government. The delivery date remains unknown.
Thank you very much.
Still ahead on the news at 10, League Management Company finds Heartland of Owerri 4.75 million naira for failing to provide adequate security in the Week 28 home clash with Ifeanyi Ubah. That's on Sports News. Stay with us.